Now, this morning's social supplement guest is social media goddess, that's Mili Ponce, and she's got 65,000 followers on Twitter, well-versed in social media. Welcome to the programme.
Thank you, Chris. Thank you for inviting me to your programme, and good morning, everybody.
Yeah, and it's quite a nice day, really,
It is beautiful today.
It's absolutely beautiful. I hope the journey over was okay. So let's talk social media. What's happening in the world of social media at the moment?
Well, in the world of social media, I will say that everybody's trying to be part of it. But it's not about how you are doing it's not about doing social media, but it's about how you do social media. And that is what I think we have to create a bit more awareness.
How? Because anyone can be on it, but it's, I suppose, using it effectively, using it appropriately. How are people using it wrongly to start with?
They use it as a way of communication only, as a way of sharing information. If you use it for personal reasons, that is very good. But as a business, you don't benefit from it if you only use it as a way of communication. It should be a way of awareness and a way of promoting too. Why not?
And is it that people are using it as one way rather than two ways? So, for example, people say, buy this, and you think, I don't just want to know about what I should be buying all the time.
I think the issue is that most people are used to traditional marketing, which is just putting some offers out there and waiting for people to see them. It's a very straight sell. In social media, it's different. It's about going and looking for your target market, creating a connection and community, and bringing them to your business or brand by giving them exactly what they need.
Well, let's talk about local business around here, particularly small businesses. I mean, social media, things like Twitter, Facebook, Pinterest, which we'll come on to later, they can be very effective ways of getting people interested in your business. So how can people start getting interest in
their business?
Yeah. What's the best way to go about it?
I would think that the first way, what I suggest most business that I deal with is to understand the target market. And that is something that most business don't understand. When I say, who's your target market, age, interest, they really struggle to understand that. So the first thing is you really need to know what your target market wants, what are their interests, what they're looking in social media for, which is pretty simple in Pinterest, for example. You can see what people are pinning in their boards, and you can see exactly their style, what type of fashion they like, or what type of, in general, products are they looking for, and then you can see who's your target market and who's not.
Okay, so let's say we're a small local clothing shop, for example. We've just set one up. I've set it up right now. It's called CB Clothing. How about that? Now, I'm interested in getting people involved in, obviously, the business and creating online profiles and things like that. I've set up Twitter, Facebook, and I've got this new, relatively new thing called Pinterest. Which is the best one to use?
Pinterest and Twitter, for sure. Twitter, because you can use software where it will locate exactly all the Twitter users around your area. So you can say, I want to know who's around my area in Cambridge, and then you can create connection with them. And you can read their tweets. It's public domain, so you can read what they're saying. Nowadays, some texting softwares that will tell you even the percentage of interest, like 60% they talk about food, 20% they talk about fashion. So Twitter gives you a better demographics.
Okay.
For Pinterest, it's very interesting because one of the things that people don't know about Pinterest is about group boards. So the most interesting thing will be to look for all the Pinterest accounts that are in your area and try to ask to be one of the contributors of that boards, and make sure that boards have thousands of people or hundreds of people if it's very local.
And for those who aren't, I think people are fairly familiar with what Twitter is, which is basically, it's like texting but in public, in a way.
That was what it was meant for.
That's what it's supposed to be, yeah.
Yeah.
And Pinterest is a different service because it's much more image-based. It's almost like putting up a notice board with lots of pictures on. That's kind of, it's different in that way, isn't it?
It's kind of like having a board in your house where you pin everything that you're interested in. And then imagine your son comes and takes one of the pins and says, this is interesting for school, and he pins it in the school. And then you are creating awareness in the house, in the school, everywhere. So if your pin is interesting enough, then people will repin it. And it's one of the most viral. Right now is twice the amount of interaction in Pinterest than in Twitter or Facebook.
Which is, that's very big.
It is huge.
What's the demographic like for people who are interested in it? Is it younger people or men or women or?
It's about 68% women.
So is there? Do you think there's a reason for that?
Because 70% of users in Pinterest use it for either shopping or making a list of the things they're going to shop.
I see. And you're saying that women do more of the shopping?
I would think so.
Probably.
At least in the UK.
Probably. Okay. Well, we'll come back and we'll talk more about this in a few minutes' time. Just going to play some Tina Turner and then we'll... Now, we're talking social media at the moment, and Mili Ponce is in with me in the studio. Thanks for being here. We're talking about the differences between different types of social media, Twitter, Facebook, and sort of one that's newer to people is Pinterest. And what are the advantages of Pinterest over the others?
Pinterest is more of a brand network. As I was talking to you just a bit before, in Pinterest, you can take more benefits of the followers in Pinterest out of having a brand account more than a personal account. In most social networks are all about socializing. It's all about the people. In Pinterest, it's more about brands. People look for brands. They want to share with others their style, what they look for, what they want to buy. So it's a brand network, and the reason the business use it is because people will share with all their friends and followers the actual brand instead of the conversations like in Twitter, for example.
And it's almost like setting out your stall, isn't it? You sort of put your shop window up on a website.
You can actually have shop, and every time you have an offer, you will email automatically people that are following you on the offers, on the change of prices. You can have videos, and you can pin videos, and have every time you change the video, you will actually send a message to everybody about the changes you've made. It
sounds like it's much more visual than some of the other forms of
It is more visual, yes. And it's 2 or 3 times more interaction than Facebook or Twitter. But the most important thing, I think, is that 70% of users actually use it for shopping, which is, I mean, Facebook is only 27% and Twitter even 12%.
Do you think it's taking over, though? Do you think it's taking over things like the high street? Because I know it's convenient for people to, look on a search engine, look for, I want this brand of clothing, find out if there's a deal, and it saves, you don't have to spend petrol going to the shops, looking around, time, all that stuff.
I think it's stronger than going shopping because you can actually see what other people are pinning. So you see what is a trend, what's the fashion right now, what everybody else is shopping for. And I mean, the way we like to do what everybody else does. So whatever is fashion on Pinterest is going to be fashion offline too.
I think also it's quite useful for being able to compare prices quite quickly, because if you're on the high street, for example, if you want to check prices between the same brand in a different shop, you'll have to walk, quite literally physically walk between them. Whereas on something like Pinterest, you can go to that page, look at how much something costs, go to another page and check again.
And you can create a board on each type of product that you want to have a look into. So you can put all the different products with different prices and keep an eye, because it will update the prices anyway.
And you give workshops on the use of Pinterest and I suppose other social media as well. How can people come along to them?
We have a campaign called Let's Get Business Social in Cambridge. It's free. It's a half-day workshop, and is run by our company, Social Media Frontiers. You can call 01223 969054, or go to our website, the Social Media Academy UK.co.uk. Social Media Academy UK.co.uk.
Okay, and also you yourself on Twitter now. I had a quick look yesterday before the show today. You have about 65,000 followers on Twitter.
I do, yeah.
How does that happen? Do you just, every person you ever meet, you go, right, on Twitter now?
No, I follow different strategies that I've been testing in the last 5 years. I've more than anything is interaction and following the right people.
Yeah.
It's not just following the people that you think could be a potential customer, but it's following the people that have an influence.
And what's the advantage of having essentially 65,000 people who you can sort of direct email in a way? What are their advantages?
Traffic to our website, traffic to anything that I do. I can actually advertise in the name of other people. The people come to me and say, can you retweet my tweet? So I get some traffic.
Would they pay you for something like that?
They do. They do pay you for that.
So if you have if you have a large, it's almost like having a large base of people interested in the things that you do.
Yes.
Someone can come along and say, okay, look, here's 50 quid. Would you mind just sending this message to those people? And I imagine that's quite an effective way of getting the message across.
It's like selling advertisement. Pretty much.
But there must be because people don't just want to be advertised at. There must be content in between the advertising.
Content is key on any social network. You have to have great content. I have posts on social media, tips and tricks on my Twitter every day, so people can learn about social media following me. You have to give them the reason to follow you as well.
Yeah.
It's not just interaction. So if you have the right content on your industry, then people will follow you to learn about it. I learned from lots of Twitter accounts as well when I started.
And I've read in the papers fairly recently that some people will pay money to increase the number of their followers. Have you heard about this?
Yes.
What do you think of people who do that?
I think it depends where they get the followers, because there are many ways that you can just buy followers. The thing is, in perception, you might look like super cool, everybody's following you, but you won't see any results or benefits because you won't see any traffic coming. I mean, who knows where they're coming from?
My other question is, isn't the language that surrounds social media quite egotistical? Doesn't it sort of create a culture where everyone is quite self-obsessed? Like followers, for example. It's like, I have 65,000 followers, so therefore I'm important, if you see what I mean.
I think it's just because you are influential more than important. If you have thousands of followers, you are a person with influence. And in any business, if you are in any industry, it is important that you become a person of influence within your industry. And with Twitter, it's very simple. I mean, it took me 6 months to travel all around the world speaking on social media. I've traveled to Asia, US, everywhere, just by having a Twitter account that was influential.
And you're going to Australia soon, aren't you?
I am in 2 weeks, yes.
Why are you going to Australia? For a talk?
I'm speaking in a conference with 5,000 people. About digital marketing in general.
It's hardly worth going. There's only 5,000 there. You've got 65,000 on Twitter.
There you go.
I suppose it's
the weather is beautiful though, 45 degrees.
I see. That's the main reason.
Main reason.
Mili, thanks so much for coming in.
Thank you very much for having me here.
From Social Media Frontiers Limited. Yes. On Twitter, you're Mili Ponce. That's Ponce, and then it's at SMF.
And it's Mili as Mili.
I'll say it again. So Mila, and then it's
Mili.
Mil, sorry. This is it, right? We'll get it this time. Mili, and then it's Ponce like Ponce, and then it's at ATSMF. We got it. Thanks so much for coming in.
Thank you very much.
Very, very interesting. Social media and how it's changing.